Good morning, traders. Today is Wednesday, June 16th. My name is Charles, and this is the Pirate Traders live stream. All right, well, what are we looking at here? Okay, so on Thursday, we had a push higher, getting us out of a previous balancing area, okay, which got just a little bit above, or got up to this area around the 42.38 level, okay? Came back down the next day, created a low. So we consider this the balancing area from that high to that low, okay? The market looked above and failed and pulled down almost to the opposite end of balance. Then we looked above again on the next overnight. And then in the next day, we pulled back down into balance. And we closed right on the line, just below that balance area high, okay? So because of that, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that. Sometimes when the market is bouncing back and forth between a balancing area, it's actually channeling higher, right? It's actually grinding up and to the right, and it's kind of just staying in a channel as it works its way up. And so that feels like more of what's happening in this balance. We're slowly kind of making higher highs and higher lows as we work up and to the right. So because of that, I'm not going to think about this level as the balance area high anymore, and instead think about the high from the last 2 days as the balance area high. Exact same high, or pretty much one tick apart, and the second one is a poor high, okay, with a weak reference in the overnight all-time high above. Okay, so what are we expecting today? What does any of this mean for this morning? Well, we're opening inside of yesterday's range, which increases the odds of the market just having chop, okay? We're also opening inside of the previous day's value area, which increases the odds even more of early morning chop. And then the overnight just balanced within yesterday's range, which just further increases the odds of overnight chop, right? If you're just wondering psychologically what this tells us, it's that nobody knows what's going to happen. There's no leadership in the market. It's just traders picking each other's pockets here, guessing where the market's going to go. Okay, so that kind of uncertainty usually leads to more uncertainty. So that's the first thing I'm watching this morning is I'm not looking for trades right away. I'm assuming the market is just going to chop a little bit. Okay, as far as opportunities that might present themselves, obviously you have the breakout. You get above yesterday's high. You push above, you pull back down and find support. That could be a good long trade. You get above yesterday's high and you fail, you pull back down in. That could be a good short for a rotation to the opposite end of balance. And the same thing to the downside, right? You get to yesterday's low, you push below, pull back up and find resistance. You go short for continuation lower. If you pull down and find support at yesterday's low, you go long for a push back towards repairing that poor high. Okay? Until then, you just watch the market chop, you watch it churn, and you wait for the cessation of one time framing. Okay? Which then tells you the market is rotational and you can trade your rotational strategy. When I say you, I mean me. That's what I'm going to do. You do whatever works for you. There's just a ton of weak references in this profile. So if we do, for whatever reason this morning, find support here inside of yesterday's range and continue to push higher, leaving all this weakness behind, it almost certainly guarantees that at some point in the future, there will be a liquidation break that will come down here and repair these. Now, what does that mean for you as a trader? If the market finds support here and starts to push higher this morning, you don't refuse to go long. You don't fight the trend. You don't try to short it. You don't do anything. You just be aware that this is down here. You just kind of put it in the back of your mind. Yep, I remember there's a lot of weakness below, but you focus on today. You focus on the trend. You focus on the internals. You focus on the market-generated information that the market is giving you this morning, and you make your decision on those trades. You just keep this in the back of your mind that it's here. And then if, let's say the market pushes higher this morning, let's say it gets up here, it gets to all-time highs, right? And it starts spending some time up here, right? You just know every long trade that you take in continuation higher that the market could at any point liquidate. Also, if the market has a liquidation break, so let's say today we push up to here, tomorrow we're grinding around this level, and then all of a sudden there's a liquidation break and the market just starts to drop like a brick, you remember that these weak references are down here. And so as soon as the liquidation starts repairing these weak references, you start buying in, right? Because you know once they're repaired, the market is likely to rotate back up. So that's what I mean by you put this in the back of your mind and you just remember that all this weakness is here, but you stick with whatever the market is giving you in the particular moment. Okay? As for now, let's just expect chop while the market figures itself out. Likely it could grind up and down in this area a whole lot this morning. So let's wait and see what happens. Market internals opening slightly bearish. All right, good morning, Arcaleon, Naif, Gianfranco, Marco, Stanley, Philip, Richard, Nav Trader, Chris is here. Philip, good morning to you. Fed making an announcement at 2. Thank you for the heads up. Parlin is here. Ricky Bobby is back. News Blip, good day to you. Nor Auto Trading is here. And Partha. Good morning, everyone. Partha, let's not get killed today. Yeah, let's not get killed any day. Let's definitely stay alive. Staying alive. Staying alive. Jose and Shane, good morning to you. Phoenix, good morning. $70 people watching, 17 likes. Please smash that like button. That thumbs up really helps the channel. We're trying to bring in some fresh blood, desperately trying to get above that 1,000 subscriber mark. It's laughing at us. It's giggling at us. It's like, Charles, look how close you are. Good morning to whoever that person is. De Enter Casto. Are you royalty, bro? Are you royalty from somewhere? Are you a prince of something? With a name like that. Mediterra would like to see us hold that value area low. You got your nice little note of volume right in here. So that could hold as nice support there. I would prefer if the market came down and repaired at least this weakness left behind from yesterday first. You wish. Yeah. Don't we all? Normal, good morning to you. Welcome. Marco, bad taper at the low. Correct. It's not actually that's not too bad. I mean, 2,000 contracts, 1,800 contracts, 600 contracts, that's decent. It's the random 20 at the low that's bad. But again, this is just chop, right? The first half an hour of the day, we're only 7 minutes into the day. When you open inside the previous day's range and the overnight traded completely inside the previous day's range, it's a signal the market doesn't know what it wants yet. So I wouldn't be looking at taper just yet. Let the market grind around. Let the short-term traders pick each other's pockets and figure out where they want to take the market first. I don't know, Joshua. Some people love it, some people hate it. You know? For some people, it's a good morning. For some people, it's terrifying right from the start. Matt Cooper, great observation, right? If the larger players are waiting for whatever information is going to come out from the FOMC, uh, they won't be participating this morning. Another thing that could lead to just short term traders battling each other out for these exact same levels over and over again. So, as you guys heard me talk about with my strategy this morning, there's only really three scenarios that I see trading. Either the market grinds for at least an hour, right, to create one time framing, one direction, and then in the C period, you get the sensation. So you're looking at probably not even being able to take a trade for the first hour and a half of the day, or say, hour and 10 minutes or something, right? And in that case, I'd be looking for rotational trades. Or the market pushes either to the high or the low, and then I take a trade based on what happens there. But that requires me to sit on my hands, either until the market gets to the high or the low of yesterday, or until enough time has passed that we get the cessation of one time framing and I get my signal that the market is rotational. And I'm totally fine with that. I'm totally fine with the realization that I might not take a trade for an hour and a half. Nick, once again, thank you for the heads up on the quadruple witching, quadruple witchining, as I would call it, to everybody's dismay. The witchining. Arthur, good morning to you. Welcome. There, does anybody have a good answer for why they call it a witching? It's an old expression that term, a witching. It has a previous like explanation for what it is, and they just used it for this. I forget what it means. I leave it to somebody in the chat to type it into Google and find out for us. They'll seem so smart when they put it in the chat after. Any support level? Yeah, I mean, like I was just saying, this node of volume right here at the lower end of value, if these weak references weren't left behind yesterday, I'd be saying that's probably your support right there. If not the low of yesterday, right? Because you got that node of volume from the previous day. But with these weak references, it becomes a when what should happen, right? If the market's going to trade all the way down to here, it should just go down and repair those weak references as well. So you could call the low of the overnight potential support. So we come down here, we repair these weak references, we find support there. But if that doesn't hold, you got to wait and see what happens when you get to the low of the day. I will say if yesterday's low can't hold, if the market trades down to there, trades through this low and doesn't find support just below it, you can almost guarantee that you're going to take out the poor low. So the trade from here to here is very high probability if you don't find support here. Okay, where are we putting in the volume this morning? Right where that POC was from last night, right where the volume of POC was from yesterday. Right, this is just uncertainty. Okay, lots of great questions coming in here. So the triple witching, yeah. So of course it just refers to all of the different financial instruments rolling over at the same time. But where the term witching, I think RK Leon may have knocked it out of the woods here. That used to be the time of day when the witching hour was when all the spooky stuff would happen. Ooh, and old superstitions, old world superstitions. And so they just stole the name and use it for the moment. As far as how it affects the S&P 500, I haven't been trading long enough and haven't been through enough of them to have a really definitive answer for you. I will just say anytime the monthly options are expiring on the SPX, it is very common that you have very low volatility in the ES, right? So you get a day that looks like this overnight looked last night, where the market just grinds around in one area and just goes nowhere and just bounces very slowly, very boring to watch. That's most common what I see. But I guess the general point of recognizing that there is a triple witching or a quadruple witching coming up is that whatever the market is doing is based on that. It's not like some news is coming out that's causing volatility or a lack of volatility or whatever the case may be. It's just the mechanisms taking place. It's people who were, maybe they had a huge hedge on before because they thought the market was going to sell off. And so now they're letting those options expire and they're positioning themselves for the future. So maybe now they're bullish and they think the market is going to keep going up, or vice versa. Maybe they were bullish before and they had a bunch of calls and now they're not, so they're going to buy a bunch of puts, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, people are rolling over their portfolios. They're also making new decisions about how they think the market is going to move going forward. And so that creates volatility that could be viewed for you or me, the daytime trader, as like unusual. We might be looking at the market going like, what the fuck is going on? And so when we know there's a witching coming, then we just aware of it. Like, okay, some weird shit might happen in the market today, and we just go with it. But yeah, my most common reaction is just to see very muted action, very low volatility. Do I avoid trading during FOMC news? Nope, not at all. I'm happy to take trades whenever I see them. Normal 1%. Has it really been that tight? That seems a little tighter than it has been, but yeah. It's been crazy. I was just talking about it a few days ago. It's so bizarre to me that 3 times in a row here. I don't have enough back data to show you on the profile, but like 3 times in a row, we've created a balancing area and then another balancing area literally right on top of the previous balancing area. That's like so strange. To do it just once is strange. To do it twice in a row, really, really bizarre. Look at that right there. There's no excess. None whatsoever. Let me get my drawing tool out here. You guys are looking at this like, what the fuck is he talking about? Sorry to be so aggressive so early. So you had like a balancing area here. And then literally another balancing area right on top of it. And then literally now we're building another balancing area right on top of that one. Normally when you get balance, you get excess. Normally the way it works is the market balances, pushes higher, then balances higher, and then pushes higher. You get balance and excess. But we're not getting that at all here. We're just getting balance on top of balance on top of balance. Yes, Partha, thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, so that's, Jesus, I should have been the one to bring that up. Yeah, so that's what Jim Dalton calls an aging trend, right? Trends, they get older, and the way you can tell, just like a person, the older and older they get, the weaker and weaker they get, and then eventually they die. Same thing with a trend. The longer the trend continues, the weaker and weaker it gets. And the way to like describe that is like the harder it gets to read, basically. So let me just open up the old SPX here on the daily. So you can see, like, let me get that drawing tool out. So the trend is like very easy to read here in the beginning, right? It's just up and to the right, pretty clean. Then all of a sudden it gets harder and harder to read, right? You start getting these bounces. It's rolling over, but it is still moving up and to the right. It's just getting harder and harder, right? And then same thing here. You start a new trend, and then, it's getting harder to read. This is really the break of that trend. A pullback and then a new trend. But yeah, so just like the longer the trend goes on, the harder it gets to tell that it's a trend. You might have looked, if this was all you could see, if the chart ended right here, you would think, oh yeah, we're trending up and to the right, we're going to keep going. But if the chart ended here, you'd be like, oh fuck, I don't know, we might roll over and sell off, right? So it just gets harder to read, and that's the sign it's aging. Does upward balance mean bullish? So like if we're slowly kind of trending up and to the right, is that bullish? Not necessarily, right? In traditional candlesticks, sometimes you get like a bear flag where the market starts to channel up and to the right, and that's actually just giving sellers a chance to step back into positions for the next major sell-off. So no, it's not necessarily good or bad that it's trending up and to the right. No, the low volume is as we discussed earlier, the low volume is just because the larger players are waiting to hear what they say in the FOMC. So they're at work, they're sitting at their computers, they're just not entering trades just yet. Thank you, Rob. Please smash that like button, that likey like button. Ooh, yeah. You're right. Internal's getting a little bearish. Tick struggling to get above the zero line. And your breadth and your advanced reverse decliners trending down. Good observation, Nav Trader. That is bearish. Also, you've pushed through the 15-minute candle. I'm sorry, the oh my goodness. The 20-minute moving average on the 15-minute candles. And then it looks like it tried to push back up and found some resistance on there. That's also a bearish signal. But yes, the NQ looks strong, as it has been for the last week or so, stronger than the ES. Wow, look at their overnight. Man, same exact thing. They just balanced inside the value area. That's so interesting. But then obviously this morning, much more bullish, right? On the ES, we are grinding around inside the overnight range, whereas on the NQ, they immediately pushed above and are now grinding above that range. So it's still kind of doing the same thing as the ES, just a little bit stronger. It's definitely a bull market in the NQ right now. You can't fight this trend. Oh, no, yesterday value was inside the previous day. Okay, maybe. I was going to say, if value's overlapping to higher every day, expect it to just keep going. But now I can see it was actually inside yesterday's value. Nope, I stand corrected. It was overlapping a tiny little bit. So the trend remains. It's a bull market, you know. Okay. ES pushing down, testing that node of volume from yesterday. Doesn't look like it's going to hold. Probably going to repair these weak references below. Riding with Rocky coming in hot this morning. Um, I mean, I don't know that I completely believe that, but even if that's true, even if it's all just market makers stealing people's money, those market makers got to push the market around. When they're pushing it up, it's bullish. When they're pushing it down, it's bearish. They have to move it to take your money. But just so you know, that phrase, it's a bull market, you know, that's a quote from the book Reminiscence of a Stock Operator. We joke about it on the channel. Oh, there you go, right underneath it. Nav already caught it. Yeah. It essentially is just a joke on the simplicity of trading with the trend. All right, well, it looks like we're getting ready to start one time framing lower here. That would be one more bearish signal. So we got the weak references below from yesterday, the weak and poor references below from the previous day. Those are both magnets pulling price down. We got bearish internals, although the ticks might be starting to trend up. Interesting to note. And we failed to find support on that 20 moving average. So we're just starting to stack up bearish signals, although I don't feel bearish yet. If the market does push down here, creating one time framing lower, I'll be looking to see if it finds support around the overnight low. Design knob. A late arrival, you literally didn't miss anything. The market opened like $5 higher than it is now. ES has traded below the VWAP since 1 a.m. on the hourly. Another bearish signal. Nice, that's a tardy. Yeah, Ashik, I like the ES because it doesn't move as much. I like that it's a more predictable market. It has more consistency in how it moves. Design knob. Dump, 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 dump. Back in the office. Well, you can always just go back and play the live stream while you go to bed at night and just let my voice slowly reprogram your brain. It's just an option. I'm just saying, consider it. Okay, back to the POC. Yeah, and I forget who it was that mentioned it, but like if your boss walks in and hears my voice, just say you're talking to Charles from accounting. I mean, Arthur, for what it's worth, I think most companies that switch to people working from home actually found they were more productive. I mean, I read that like a long time ago, but that's what they found at the beginning of COVID. A lot of the companies found people actually got more work done from home than they used to get done from the office, which is something they found. I think it was France, like years ago. They changed their laws. They had, I forget again, don't kill me on the specifics here, but they had like 8 hour work days, or they had like 9 hour work days and they reduced it to 8 hours, or they had 8 hours and they reduced it to 7. I forget what it was, but it was like all the economists at the time were saying, if you take away an hour of work, from every business in the whole country every day, like the productivity of the country is going to fall to shit and it's going to be terrible. And all these businesses are going to fail and blah, blah, blah. And they did it anyway. And the end result was they were more productive. It turns out if workers only had to work for 7 hours instead of for 8, they got more work done in the 7 than they used to get done in the 8 because they had more energy and were more positive and so on and so forth. So interesting little anecdote. Oh yeah, you don't have the commute. You don't have all the niceties of getting ready in the morning and walking around and saying good morning to everybody. You can just wake up, walk over to your computer, and focus on your job. Just do your work. And like you say, if during one part of the day you don't feel like working, if you're at the office, you have no choice. You have to sit at your desk and fuck around on Facebook. But if you're at home, you can do something else. Come back to it when you're ready. So yeah, it makes perfect sense. Yeah, Nav, that just depends on what your business is. You know what I mean? If you're in sales, yeah, you definitely want to be at a physical location to meet with people. But if you push paper for a living, if you're a coder or a designer or, you know, I mean, so many businesses nowadays, you can do all the work from home. Mediterra, you spend 5 minutes a day on Facebook. Well, that's pretty good. Obviously, you don't work in an office in America. It's been a long time since I heard the statistics, but like years ago, they did a survey to figure out how much time people spend on social media at work, and it's insane. That's all right, Design Knob. We're here for you, brother. Let it all out. Let us know how you really feel. Seems like we found support around 34.75. Yeah, but again, I wouldn't call it good support. And just because of what the market is doing, right? The market right now is just it's just like balancing. Like it doesn't know where it's trying to go. It hasn't picked a direction to go yet. And that's what support is. Support is the market deciding it's not going to go any lower. It's ready to go up. This market hasn't decided yet. So yes, we have traded down to this level and found support there a few times, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to hold. Funky day here with the breadth and the advancers versus decliners trending down while the ticks are trending up. Ticks on the NYSE stronger than the ticks on the NASDAQ, yet the NASDAQ stocks straight up. Very interesting. This is the kind of funky stuff you see on a witchening that you kind of just go, okay, well, I don't know why it's doing what it's doing, but, it's okay. I understand it's, I don't understand what it's doing. I understand why it's doing it. There you go, Brian. Little did they know. Paul A. Apple is on a roll. Well, Apple could take the whole market with it if it is. Oh, yeah, it's pushing. All right, guys. Well, the ticks are starting to kind of break that uptrend and pull back here. Still got a downtrend on the other internals. So once again, if we get one time framing lower here in the B period, I think we almost certainly take out these weak references. So I'm going to look for support around the low of the overnight. If that fails, the next potential support is the low of yesterday. And if that fails, to me, you have almost certainty from this low to the poor low. So that is what I'm watching. Hey, Raquel, welcome. New subscriber, happy to have you. Welcome to the party. All right, well, here's the C period. So the B period printed completely inside of the A period, which is a sign of rotation. Just keeping you on your toes, Tree. Just making sure that you're wide awake and focused on the market this morning. Doing it for you. All right, guys. Well, I am going to call it quits there for today. I'll just leave you with the same exact thing that I opened with this morning. The idea that we're either going to get rotation inside of here, which it now looks like we will, in which case I would trade it as rotation, right? Looking to go short above value, looking to go long below when you find support or resistance in those areas. I would also keep an eye on yesterday's high as a potential breakout to the upside, and yesterday's low as a potential breakout to the downside that would lead us to, at the very least, repair these weak references that we left behind. But as long as we stay inside of yesterday's range, assume chop, assume grind, okay? Best of luck to all the traders out there. If you want to stick with the stream, all you got to do is sign up for the Brigade. There's a link in the description below. It costs $10 a month, and you get to hang with us the rest of the day. If that's not your cup of tea, that's fine with me. I'll see you here tomorrow morning, and we'll have some fun then. All right, guys? Have a great rest of your day. And those of you in the Brigade, I'll see you in about 5 minutes. Cheers.